So tonight, I want to talk a bit about time. Time is something that we're always taught never to waste. And that time is something that once gone, we can never get back. And I've spent some time pondering on this idea that time goes from one place and stops another, and that we can never go back to a pivotal moment in time. And that if time isn't spent doing something or going somewhere, then time is somehow wasted. Yet the greatest spiritual teachers in history have taught us that being instead of doing, and allowing ourselves to sit and just exist without doing, thinking, saying anything, or going anywhere, is the most valuable time one can spend. Yet we seem to be wrapped up in this society and societal belief that time must be spent doing something. We live in a world where, unfortunately, it's almost impossible not to live by the bounds of time. We have to get up at certain times in the morning. We have appointments and schedules, busy lives to attend to. And by the time we finish all of these essential things that involve time, we rarely have enough time for ourselves. It raises a huge question in my mind of why we spend so much time chasing the very thing that takes time away from us. I think it's so valuable to understand that we as spiritual beings are not bound by time, and that it is a construct of our reality. You can compare time with the rest of the universe and think of it in a way that if gravity creates time, then what happens when we die and we go into a universe where there is no gravity? And then it raises the point that most mediums will agree by, is that in spirit, or the other side, or heaven, whatever you want to call it, isn't bound by time. Does that really mean that when we die, we don't cease to exist? We don't magically disappear from the universe, leaving behind only memories of our past selves? Does it mean, in fact, that we are stepping outside of this universe that is bound by time and gravity, governed by the laws of our own universe? Does it then mean that we're going to a universe outside of our own? Could we be going into another dimension in the multiverse that science still isn't sure even exists? And just like all science, it's all theory until it's proven. But how long will it be before we can prove whether time actually exists and whether multiverses really exist? And taking a second thought about time, it's so important to remember that in this reality, time cannot go backwards, and time cannot be frozen to savor a moment. And I think the great lesson we can take from this universal law that we are unfortunately bound to is to make the most of every single moment, cherish every second of our lives, and don't waste a moment doing things unnecessarily. Live with intent. And this is another thing that the great spiritual teachers of history have taught us, is living with intent. Because time won't give us a second chance. Time is in the moment. Time is only bound by you. Don't waste a single moment of your life arguing, disagreeing, thinking hateful, vengeful thoughts, focusing on depressed emotions and feelings, negative memories, or people who we don't enjoy being around and who are bad for us mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and even physically. Because your time is the most valuable asset that you have. So don't freely give away your time to people who won't give you theirs in return. This takes us back to an earlier message of knowing your worth. So on reflection, we can see that we must first love ourselves completely, wholly, and unconditionally before we can expect anyone else to love us in that way. To do that, we must know our worth. And to know our worth means to know ourselves. And in this, we learn that we are valuable, but we won't exist forever in this form before we return to another dimension, another universe, wherever we go. We are only here for a short space in our history. So when you know your own worth, you will understand that you're not going to be here forever. So your time on this earth is valuable. So whether you're spending your time with people you love, focusing on your ambitions, goals, your careers, aspirations, improving your memory and learning more, gaining knowledge and wisdom, helping others, or spending time in solitude, gathering your thoughts, clearing your mind, and deciding your next steps. Don't waste a single second, because now is your time. You're not going to get a second chance. So whatever it is that you're thinking of doing in your mind right now, whatever decisions you've been pondering on unneededly for the last weeks, days, maybe years, whatever it is in your life that you're thinking of changing, don't waste another second thinking about it. And it's time to take action. Because when you start to take action, you start to see progress. And when you see progress, you recognize success. And as we're talking about time, I think it's worth the lesson of reflection and why it is so important to look back through time so that we can move forward in a more positive, more productive, happier, and more successful way. I think time gives us the most valuable lesson in this universe, or maybe even this reality as a whole. Time is our closest friend. Don't let her down.